Remember these figures, the British Army, about 77,000 of last year, about 6,500 Royal Marines on top of that, then you've got the Royal Navy and the Royal Air Force. 77,000, 6,000 Marines. Remember that figure. So in a week where the Royal Air Force, along with the Americans, have bombed the Houthi rebels based out of Yemen, been disrupting one of the major shipping lanes, pirating, aimed directly at Israeli ships. However, we have stepped in now. We are now involved in a conflict. There is some blowback. The Houthi rebels have said America and ourselves will feel the full force. There will be reprisals. I believe today they're already protesting in London about the use of force. Yemeni minister has said, the Houthi rebels are to blame. However, that's not going to make a difference, is it? In the capital city in Yemen, thousands and thousands protesting against use of force. Sweden is what we're talking about now. Because Sweden's slipped by, hasn't it? Not much in the mainstream media. I've stopped using that word. The media, they tell you what they want. We'll talk about the Houthi rebels, about retaliation, but Sweden's going to slip on by. Going to take a breath of fresh air. Our Stephen, main man, up here. Sometimes it's good just to take time out from life. For those that want to know, I'm in West Yorkshire. This is the old Lofthouse Colliery pit site. And we're back to Sweden. Got a friend lives in Sweden. Beautiful country landscape by all accounts. Beautiful people. More so than the rest of Europe has taken a massive hit in the last decade. Yeah, we've got it. Immigration. Last year, the police commissioner announced that he couldn't protect Swedish citizens. He couldn't keep women and children safe. And there were lots of areas in Sweden that were dangerous and no-go areas. Sweden, for almost 200 years, has been a neutral country, which has stood them in good stead. The last 4-5 years, there's been talk of Sweden and Finland joining NATO. Swedish people, they're not sure. Might be a bit naive, but they're not sure why they need to join NATO. There is talk of Russia, and this is coming out of America. Russia, once it's dealt with Ukraine, will be going for Poland and Sweden. Warmongers. So Sweden, the application is in. The problem with Sweden is its location and relevance to Russian borders and security. I'm going to go back to 1962 now. Yeah, November was a good year. That's when I was born. But October. Yeah, we got Fidel Castro in Cuba, aligned with the Russians, either invited, offered to let the Russians build missile bases. That is on the arse end, the doorstep of America. America found out. It led to a 13-day standoff, the closest America and Russia have come to a nuclear war. Go and have a look at it. It's in the history. See, America weren't letting Russia or anyone else build missiles on their doorstep. They wouldn't allow them in Cuba or Mexico or Canada. Sweden's relevance to NATO, if it joins NATO, and Russian security. Russia's said, Putin. And anyone who thinks he's like a bluffer or something else, whether you like Russia, whether you know what Russia's about or not, that guy, doesn't make idle threats. He said NATO and Finland if Sweden, and Finland join NATO, there will be problems. Swedish people, you know, military ministers telling the people they need to prepare for war. They're supposed to be joining NATO for protection. Protection from what? Does anyone really think they're under threat? Going back to the British Army, our unelected Prime Minister has just sent or promised another $2.5 billion to Ukraine. So remember, our economy, it's on its arse, there's no money for anything, but he's found $2.5 billion to send to Ukraine. What it's for, I don't know. Because you see, Ukraine ain't got an army. All the men are dead or have fled to other countries. The average age a month ago was 42 of a Ukrainian soldier. 42. You know, so obviously there's some young men there, but there's going to be people in the 60s fighting, or were. I don't know what the figure is now. They were losing 20,000 a month and needed 20,000 to plug the gap. EU having control of the British Army, amongst others. British troops could be in Ukraine. Maybe that $2.5 billion is to equip our troops, because the Ukrainians ain't got any. There is recruitment campaigns online for the Ukrainian army with women. I know we have women soldiers, but there's women posing like models in camo, walking up and down. There's a woman crying, reading a letter. She's been conscripted into the Ukrainian army. She's pregnant. Maybe they don't know she's pregnant. Maybe they do. We're funding that war, so possibly we're going to be involved in that. NATO's been sticking its nose in anyway, so that could be the British Army over there. The Middle East, the Israel conflict is not going away. We're involved in that. I feel it's going to be a tough year for everybody, 2024. The British Army, 77,000, 6,500 Marines. It's not big, is it? How many on the terror watch list? I said 35 last week. 3 years ago, there were 45,000 on the terror watch list. The terror watch list now, if people were honest, is probably bigger than the British Army. And our army is going to be fighting abroad, I feel. Very sad state of affairs. We have to look on the bright side. You have to soldier on, as it were, pun intended. Pay your bills, do what you do, look after your family. But I do believe it's going to be a tough year. So God bless you all. Parting shot when my camera eventually rotates. It's not going to. Stephen, come here. Let's get him in. Come here. Come here. Come here, you. Now then. There you go. God bless you all. Thanks for coming. I'll see you.